Welcome to Discover the Terror. I'm Maximilian Schmidt, and this is Herbert, your ghoulish host for this evening. Tonight's guest is a talented and boundary-pushing writer-director with numerous short films and a hard-hitting feature, The Apology, starring Anna Gunn, under that belt. Alison Star Locke, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, I've known you for about a year or two, and I've seen you in passing at all these film festivals.
Yes.
And I've always wondered what horror really means to you.
For me, I think that horror is the freest genre and the most honest, because we can go wherever we want. You know, whatever's hard about life, we can talk about it. And it's also just fun, full of like cozy things, you know, when you need a little lift, if you're a sicko like us, then
right.
you watch The Conjuring again, you know, Insidious. So some of those like kind of more traditional kinds of films. And then if you really want to feel challenged and connected to the world, you can get into something a little more nuts, like Inside.
Talking about nuts, right? When did you like really discover horror though? What age? When was like the first romance when it started?
Sure. Well, I had an interesting thing where I had an instinctual draw to it. And then I kind of put it aside and thought that was like, this is terrible to say, but to be honest, I thought it was for the guys. Like it felt like a very male space and like not a very welcoming space. And so I didn't really look at it as much until I saw a documentary in my 20s called The American Nightmare. Okay. And they were talking about what you could do with horror in terms of it having been a sort of snuck in political statements and such. In 60s and 70s horrors like Wes Craven's Last House on the Left and those kinds of
Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, all of that it could be about, you know, not like spoon-fed, but just about the things that we're really scared of and that are hard in life, you know? So that really got me into, that set me off. And I was like, now I want to write them and I want to make them. And then I let myself get obsessed and then happily found out that my preconceived notions about the horror community were absolutely wrong. That most of the people in the horror community are the opposite. They are warm and welcoming and, creative and just the sweetest people on the planet. And I think it's because we put our stuff somewhere and deal with it, you know?
Yeah. We're not containing it and just letting it out randomly.
I'm fine. I'm just going to go play pickleball. Like, we're not doing that.
Right.
But very early on, my first one was Poltergeist that I watched between two couches at a family party. I was not allowed to be
How old were
watching.
you when you watched it?
Like right after it came out on like, Betamax or whatever, because it was like it was like we were at a family party and like one of the relatives was like kind of being like, I got this new system and we can watch the movie at home.
Oh, fancy.
So it was like a brand new thing. And that in my mind I watched the whole movie. Who knows, you know? I was little. I'm not 5 anymore, so I don't know. But it was like a big impact. And then I started to get into it more in high school again and always liked them, but just didn't really explore. And then my mom was like, I know you really like horror movies. You should go see a bunch of them. And she took us, my younger sibling and I, to an all-night horror movie marathon when I was in high school. So Night of the Living Dead, first watch of Night of the Living Dead.
On the big screen with all the people, that's great.
Which was really cool. And then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation.
Oh my God, the Illuminati one?
They're like, I think, is that the one, the Matthew McConaughey one?
Yes.
Yes,
that is.
Yeah. And I haven't seen it since for some reason. But you
saw it that one time. It's always going to live in that memory of Matthew McConaughey acting completely batshit.
Which, God bless him, is our favorite thing for him to do. So it's just been off to the races ever since.
What do you think people are so anti-horror, like not understanding it? Because like you said, right, you got that conception of not fully taking a step in. You kind of been avoiding it due to your reasons. Yeah. But you finally took that step in. You, like you said, you understood that not everybody is like what you expected them to be. Yeah. But most people don't do it. And then they have that preconception of horror fans and whatnot. So what was kind of like the process of you amongst your peers getting into the horror world and them kind of like looking at you and understanding you? Like, did they accept it?
Oh,
you were a big horror fan?
Oh, absolutely. They're very welcoming community. They were very welcoming when I was like still a stay-at-home mom and was just like starting to venture out into it, and I'd been writing it but didn't know what to do with it kind of stuff. And then once my film came out, they were so lovely and accepting. But I think a lot of people are afraid of horror stuff because they feel like life is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't see this sort of thing as cathartic, right? So they don't think it's fun. They think it's sitting in the muck, and they don't want to do that.
More salt to the wound.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And being a parent, I know a whole lot of parents and a whole lot of mothers especially, and it's like they cannot handle watching people getting hurt in the same way that they could before parenthood. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm like, kill all the kids in movies, because that is yeah, exactly. Pull quote for you. But that is exactly my worst fear. Yes. You know, so of course we have to put them in the movies. Let's do this more, you know. But I think a lot of moms don't feel that way, mm-hmm. and that's a big part of, I think, for me, an untapped audience. I feel like that you know, if we could get into them, I think they would. There's a lot that we can explore about that situation.
Well, I think it's fascinating because I think this is a great segue into your film, The Apology. It's because the subject matter of that film. If you can give, for some people that haven't seen it, a really quick summary of what it's about.
Yes. So The Apology is a Christmas psychological thriller on the branch of the horror tree. And it's about Darlene Hagen, a woman who has been searching for her missing daughter for 20 years. No clues, no leads, just cold case. But she has been obsessively trying to find her this whole time. And her ex-brother-in-law and former flame shows up in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve, wanting to kind of reconnect.
Yes.
And so it's a very chamber piece, two powerhouse actors kind of going at it and trying to figure out what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you haven't seen it at this point, we're going to do spoilers because I really want to get into it. So spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Well, when did you start writing that film? Like, you were a mother at that point.
Yeah,
right?
A while back. Yeah. It took, because I have a tendency to write many projects at the same time. So whenever I throw out year figures, it sounds really scary. Mm-hmm. But it's because you're like going back and forth. You know how it is. And so I was writing that when I started writing that before I really knew hardly anyone in the horror community, and was just very home and thinking about, I was very obsessed with true crime. Yeah. And I was very obsessed with the idea of true crime as being sort of an interesting kind of conduit for feminism, like for a lot of feminist concepts, and specifically about how a lot of women are treated as expendable, a lot of these lost girls and this sort of thing. And in the movie, it's like, this is an ideal, like the kind of kid that gets the most attention for being lost. She's blonde, white girl in Minnesota. Yeah. But of course, it's like, the reality is there's so many different types of women that are lost and are just, there's no attention on their case. So, but also at the core of it, emotional core of it, was that I wanted to write about how overwhelmed I felt being a mom and being a special needs. My daughter is on the autistic spectrum. So I did years and years of therapy with her. That's why I was home. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to I just found myself connecting to these stories of these searching families. And even though that's obviously a way like a real nightmare, and that was not our life, but it was it's just that art thing where you find yourself connected to something that is, you would not think on paper that you would, but just that vigilance and like just the freaking paperwork alone, you know, and always having to fight for your kid and be really detailed about it and trying to, you know, so that became kind of the metaphoric core.
Yeah, because you really could see Anna Gunn, who brilliantly played that character. Yeah. I was just like completely enthralled every scene she was in, which
I'm glad,
have to be, right? Because it's a chamber piece, and it's just her in the house until that guest shows up.
Yeah, we knew we needed powerhouses, and I was like, okay, we'll see how this goes. But my producers were miracle workers, and we got these incredible actors for my first feature. Did you find her from Breaking Bad, or was there another source, like another film or another show where you were like... No, I hate to be basic, but yeah, I was a massive Breaking Bad fan. No, so, she killed it in that. Like, she's incredible in that show. She gets a lot of unnecessary shit for being the rational one in that story, but... She was wonderful in it, yeah.
That was interesting, because I remember hearing about like fan sites just hating on her, like going to the point where Anna Gunn was being affected,
Oh,
not
yeah.
just the character.
Oh, yeah.
And
She wrote a whole piece in the New York Times
She
about
did?
it. Yeah, you should look it up.
Okay,
It's really
I'll have to.
interesting. Yeah.
Because the details she goes in the film, you know, like her board that she has in the basement,
Yes.
of like all the minute details of finding that of her kid for 20 years and obsessed with the website and the phone
Yes.
calls and the logs, which beautifully comes into the story at the end. Like, what was your research process like? Kind of experience a mother going through something that horrific of losing their child.
Yeah, it was interesting because a lot of it was stuff that I had been researching without realizing I was researching it, you know, like, because often I find that I'm obsessed about or want to read or learn about a little corner of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, you're like, oh, here's a story that comes from that. So the film actually came from a dream that I got as I have been, you know, obsessing over all this true crime stuff. And it was the man knocking on the door. And in the dream, he was saying, I know what happened to your daughter. Actually, I'm the one who killed your daughter. And in the dream, it was a stranger. You always got to make it worse as you're writing.
Of course, right? Just evolve to make it even more intense.
Yes. The love of your life, who was a member of your family. Yeah.
And the dream, like, were there images in that dream that you translated into the film with framing? Because I noticed you used a lot of frames within frames.
Yes.
Making it seem like a dollhouse in a way with those ultra wide angles you used. Yeah,
that was a big point for me and my DP, Jack Caswell. I was very obsessed with that. I just kept looking at, what's the main one? Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
That was an inspo.
That was an inspo. And in terms of the framing and Hereditary.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, because once I was like, this is an unofficial haunted house story. So she's not an actual ghost. But when you have a loss like that, it's hanging over everybody involved, right? Yeah. And so I wanted the house to feel really specific. A whole lot of our budget went into that house.
I could tell.
That production design team was amazing.
So good.
And dealt with all my insanity of like, here's my entire file that I would like you to look at, you know.
Every page by detail, you guys see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was great because they were like eating it up. We were just feeding off each other in that great way. Yeah.
And why Christmas?
Oh, in the dream, it was Christmas.
So that came straight from the dream.
Yes. So in the dream, it was just that moment of on either side of the door that I was basically Darlene, and I remember looking around and sensing that it was Christmas, and being like, I have no choice but to let him in, because it's sort of like I didn't do it consciously because it was a dream,
of course.
But another inspiration we kept talking about a lot was The Vanishing.
Mm-hmm. That's
right. Oh, I love it. So good. I love it. And it's this idea of knowing costs so much. Yes. You know, and so I was like, I knew that would have to be the case, that it has to cost her a lot to finally get her answers.
Yeah.
I mean, to get whatever justice form she decided on.
Yeah, like from the opening, maybe first 10 minutes, she's like the fear of not knowing. Yeah. I remember hearing that just like hit me to my core because that's horror right there. Not knowing. And she's lived in that mindset for 20 fucking years.
So she's,
like I was just surprised just watching Anna Gunn go back and forth from like composed, you know, when she was making the cake with a friend in the beginning, the moment that she left, everything's dark in the house, immediately goes to the bottle. And it's just like, you see her real like underneath the shell of who she is.
Oh yeah, that self-hatred,
really heartbreaking.
Huge core of that. Yeah, and I think that that's part of what was interesting to me was this idea. I've never struggled with alcohol or dependency issues, but it's like just that is almost an analogy or a metaphor for like trying to keep it up.
Yeah,
you know, but we've all got, you know, something that's broiling inside us.
Mm-hmm. And the moment when you brought up The Vanishing just now, it made me think like that moment when his girlfriend was taken, right?
Jesus. Yeah.
And you slowly reveal like how it happened, and then him realizing that I don't have no idea where to find her now.
Yeah.
And that really reminded me of the scene when she first was told about what he did.
Yeah.
Just with the kissing, and there was still stuff he wasn't mentioning.
Yeah.
And just her kind of just sitting, stewing in that just that moment of like, it just happened. I found out what happened for 20 years.
Yeah.
How was that like talking to Anna Gunn about that moment?
It was such a treat.
Yeah.
Because it was like, and all of my collaborators on it, because it was like talking about, and something that I think my producers did a really great job with is saying to both of us, like, take time with this. Because I was almost kind of doing it a little noir-y, and she was sort of had to be smart in the moment to protect herself. And they kept pushing to make sure that we really let her have a moment with that, you know? And I think that I'm really proud of that moment. I think she did a wonderful job.
Yeah. Like, what was the man's name again? I'm blanking. I feel bad.
Oh, Jack or Linus Roche?
Jack. Like in the film.
Yeah.
Just so we can say. So Jack, I thought it was such a fascinating power struggle between the two of them. You know, like he always played the victim.
Oh, yes.
Like throughout the full thing.
Massive
was it
narcissist.
Genuine? Or was it him trying to get the upper hand and make her feel better about the whole situation? Like it was just that the intensity he had was just so ambiguous to me.
Oh man, I loved having these juicy conversations with Linus, who played Jack, because we talked about, I kept saying at the beginning and throughout that Jack is the kind of a Rorschach test for all of us, right? You're going to look at it and you're going to see some people are like, yeah, fuck that guy, LOL. Like, what a fucking villain. And then some people are like, maybe there is sincerity there. Like, so it's interesting to see what people say, what they take from that. And I think it all has a lot to do with what their experiences with trauma are, or like narcissists. For me, it's, he's a very severe narcissist, but narcissists still do care and still do have, like, you know, feelings and wishes. And I think for Jack, he's as sincere as he's capable of.
Yeah. So he's trying.
He's just like, he can't get out of his own way to want to protect himself and get whatever he wants, and feels that whatever he wants is justified at all times.
Yeah.
So it's like, is there sincerity there? Yeah, for him, not for most people.
Well, the ending screams at me as you mentioned that, because, you know, he put it all on the table. She found out he went there with her daughter and killed her. And, you know, she was about to blow his brains out, but then she stopped herself.
Yeah.
Because there were no bullets. But was there any like script notes going back and forth with the producers? Did you have a draft when she did shoot him? Or was it always like, you're gonna just be punished by the law?
No one ever fought me on it. It was always like, no, the way she wins is by not giving him what he wants.
Totally.
And what he wants is to die.
Yeah. Just give it to me, I'll do it myself. Oh, you gotta steal that motherfucker.
That's exactly it. And so that felt to me like, because I was very fascinated with the idea of, what does justice mean? Like, what does revenge mean? And I love revenge movies, but I really wanted to know what it would be like for somebody like me that's like very anti-death penalty, very like, your hope. And the other thing I kept hearing from Searching Families is that, yes, some of them are obviously understandably ready to avenge, but most of them, they just want the other person to know and to accept and to admit what they did, you know? And so that was, for me, it was important that it was a thoughtful conclusion in that way. Yeah,
and the beautiful cherry on top was she was recording that the whole time.
Yes.
And then he was like, oh, I'm not getting out of this at all.
Yeah. And that was sort of also a little bit of a Hollywood movie thing, because of course it's like, that's a massively coerced confession. And, you know, any lawyer decent could rip holes in that.
Yeah.
But it was just so that and also, again, this concept that whatever is hard that you need is going to cost a lot. So it cost her daughter's voice.
Yes. We love getting into like the nitty gritty of like how the film was made and the kind of process from the beginning. So you wrote the script and then you got in the hands of some producers that you knew, and where did it go from there? Like, how did you find the locations and how did you get the money for it? You know, as much as you want to share, of course.
Oh no, I'm a process nerd. So, and ask me anything you want about it. It's the basic beginning of it was that I was writing it for a number of years at home. I had done some readings with friends, and then I was like, okay, I've got enough. I got to get out there and get this thing made. And so this is the part that's fairy tale. The rest was all hard.
Mhm.
But the part that was fairy tale was that I went to see an old friend of mine, Stacey Jorgensen, who's a producer. And I just went to meet her son. She had a new son.
Okay.
And we hadn't caught up in a while. And she was like, oh, I'm working for Spectrovision and Company X. And I was like, that's exactly the kind of stuff that I want to do. Like, even like, you know, taste wise and like kinds of horror. And so I was like, would you just read my script and just see if you know of anybody who'd want to read it? Because she's a very social lady, knows a lot of folks in town. And so she was like, yeah, of course. We used to make short films together.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
There's the connection.
Yes, that was why. And so it was very pure. Like, we had made things together when we were first starting, you know, and then we both kind of, the roads diverged a little. And so she called me the next day, said she wanted to produce it.
Wow. Okay. She was like, that script is right up my alley.
She was like, I love this. I'm so proud of you. I want to make this. If you decide to go with me, if you need time to think about it. I took a little time to think about it because I also got on the blood list at the same time. So I had some other offers kind of going. And she was like, well, I want to take it to my company first. And if they don't like it, we'll take it to some other, you know, we'll figure it out. And I just decided, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with my friend because I know that she's at least going to do her best and won't like kick me off as a director or any of those other things that could very easily have happened.
Nothing dirty like that.
Yeah, like she was very above board. And so we're her collaborators. So yeah. Okay. So then we got hooked up with RLJE Films, which is, you know, that amazing factory that just makes so many thoughtful, wild, all kinds of horror films now.
Horror films.
Yeah.
And were they specifically there for the production or just distribution?
So they were both.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So that's why we didn't even do festivals, because they were like, it's a Christmas film. The film was finished in September. And so we put the film out in December.
Wow.
It was a very wild experience to do that kind of movie and then have no festival and just, it's out.
It's just out.
And have like real distribution on your first feature with these kind of like vet actors. I mean, pretty dang lucky. Yeah.
What was the reception like regarding like mothers watching this film? You know, I can feel like it would hit pretty home.
Yes. Well, they love it. And the interesting thing was that the Shudder audience, I wasn't getting as much of that from them. Okay. But when we went to Hulu and it was tagged as a thriller, then the moms were down. I thought that was really interesting that sometimes that term, and especially for your podcast, it's like, this is this question, right? Why is that still a dirty, hard word?
I know. Especially
because it's an emotionally draining, hard film. Yeah. But it's not gory. It's not super violent. And I love those movies too, believe me. Like, give me Chopping Mall all day.
Love Chopping Mall.
So like, I have no snobbery around that. Yeah. I hope to make a slasher very soon. So it's like, it's just happened to be a little more milder in terms of those kind of horror things that freak people out sometimes.
That's funny how people view horror, right? Because I think it is a horror film. It's horrific. It's real life horror.
That always was to me, but
anybody.
Yeah.
That's what's scary about it. It's not a ghoul, it's not a monster. Your daughter was taken by somebody you know.
Which is the case most of the time.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I'm glad in a way that was kind of the reveal. Yeah. Because it's just such a disturbing topic that you don't want to really touch upon, or maybe you want to Hollywood it more. Yeah. You were very grounded with your approach about it.
Yes, thank you. That was important to me through the whole process. And that's very much, with the exception of a few projects that I'm working on, is my style. Like, I'm about, you know, what is horrifying in real life, even if it goes supernatural, even if it goes anything else. I think being like a huge Stephen King fan, that's his strength, right? The incredible characters, the very specific grounded world building. Then you throw an insane thing like a clown that comes out of the, you know,
It's just like, it's all based in childhood trauma and everything of these kids dealing with it, but then it's personified as a clown.
Yeah.
And for your case, it's just straight human on human.
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting too, because the whole idea of child abduction, trafficking, all these sorts of, you know, child rape, all these very hard topics has been so like, you know, kidnapped by the right-wing zealots and turned into a whole thing. But the reality of it is that it's usually a family member. It's not some mysterious organization. I mean, those exist. I'm not blind, but
yeah,
you know,
of course.
yeah.
But again, it's a spectrum. There's many aspects of it, and usually, like you said, it kind of gets focused on one side of it, and then the rest gets ignored, even though that's more prevalent.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So what do you have in the future lined up? Are you writing anything new right now?
Yeah, I'm almost finished with a new feature that I hope to make soon. It's called Hello Friends.
Love the title. Is it still under wraps? We can't talk much about it.
Not too much, but I will say because because we're still doing a lot of things to put it together. But it's a possession.
Okay.
Family kind of story, and it's very much about an autism family. So it's an enormously personal script, except no experience with demons, thank God.
Of course, thank God, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Knock on wood. Oh, it's fake wood. Oh shit.
But if we think it is, does it have the same weight? I'm just kidding. That's a very possession kind of movie joke. Thank you for laughing.
No, I love it. I love the possession jokes. More the merrier here, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I know. So your films usually tend to be around families, family units and everything.
Yes, to the point where I was actually thinking, I was like, next idea has got to be about someone who's not married and has no children.
But I mean, it's just you kind of going through your own experiences and people around you, because I assume you hang with a lot of other families.
Yes.
That you have a lot to say on the matter.
I have a lot to say on the matter. Yeah. So one of the other things that I'm working on is also like a slasher comedy that's about gender issues and about how mothers are kind of expected to take on all of this mental load, emotional load, that their time is not as valuable as the husbands and things like that. So yeah, I have a lot of rage to put on the page, as I like to say.
Love that. That needs to be the next shirt you come on here with.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yes, and I am a big nerd shirt gal, so I do have grown, what I like to call grown woman clothes, but way less fun. No,
that is fun. But I do want to talk about horror is political.
Yes.
I did mention it on another show. I asked that question. And there is discourse about it. Some people say it's not. Some people say it is. Why do you think the people that are denying it, like where do you think they're coming from? Because I think it is a reflection of the time that we're in. Yes. But, well, I think because it is such a huge spectrum of what we can tell stories about. I don't think everything has to be. Yeah. But I do think that if maybe it's because I came into it from like having been an activist as like grown up as an activist with my family and like. It was always just a big, like, the personal is political. Anyone who pretends that politics are avoidable, I'm mistrustful. Yeah. Because I wonder if they are either just kind of head in the sand or, really privileged or maybe just overwhelmed. I don't know, but I don't dig it. I prefer like that we're talking about that stuff, even if it isn't something that is, the denial of it as like a whole overall thing is to me a little Arrested Development, honestly, and really not what we need right now. We need all of us, joining the resistance and caring about those things, even if we make something that is not as, sort of on the nose about something. Because like, again, I don't think, like I was joking about Chopping Mall, but it's like, there's so many great, fun horror movies that like if you want to take it apart you're going to find some stuff like that's about commercial like capitalism and stuff. Yeah, the robots, the automations come in,
this idea of like AI coming to kill us all. Yeah, so it's like I think but that's the thing, right? But are we watching Chopping Mall and thinking that? No, probably not. No, but when you think about it and you start talking about it, you realize that all the things that are in there,
Because art is just a reflection of its environment. And you can either make it subconscious or you can just be straight blatant about it. Like, this is my viewpoint on everything. Yeah. Well, and also it's like, look, I look at it as like, it's very political opportunity, full of political opportunity. But it's also like, at the end of the day, you still want to like tell a good story and you still want to scare the shit out of people and haunt them in their lives forever, like that stuff. You also, part of what makes that successful, I think, is like, having something to explore, but not something to say. I feel like that's the trick. Because if you have something that's just a direct statement, that can feel sort of preachy and false. And people don't like to be talked down. And I think that might be some of that reaction is that some folks are, but I also think some folks are not
don't always allow themselves to sit in discomfort. And I think, discomfort is crucial for growth.
Yeah, it is, right?
So,
You grow the more anxiety and discomfort that you feel, and then you can come out from the other side and be very valuable with the nutrition you were just given.
Oh, absolutely. Like when I was making the apology, it was like I literally went from like staying at home, locked down, to, okay, I'm back to work and I'm on a full IATSE SAG set.
Yeah, the pressure.
And I just, the whole time I kept being like this, because I'm a dork, a little song in my head, like, I'm outside my comfort zone every day, every day.
Did you get the whole crew to start singing that at the end?
No, I sang it to myself on the way to set. But believe me, I mean, I'm not shy about being a dork, but so everyone already
I'd be
knew.
proud.
But it was like, yeah, you just have to, but it's like, you have to be a little outside your comfort zone to like really be in it and, be pushing yourself. And you can't ask somebody to watch your film if you didn't do that to yourself.
Exactly.
You'd
just be a hypocrite at that point.
You gotta bring it all out.
Yeah, bring it all out. And that's why we love this genre.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yes. Which I love. Yeah.
Gosh, well, Alison, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank
you for having me.
Love the apology. But before we cut, do you have anything you'd like to say to the camera? Any advice for filmmakers on any regard? It doesn't need to be specifically horror.
I think one of the joys of making things is then feeling like you can pass any of that information on to other filmmakers, like all of us who love commentaries and all that nerdery and going to Q&As. You're like, oh, I want to be able to then pay it forward. I think the biggest thing that I like to talk about is making room in your day, in your head, in the world for what you want to explore and what kinds of films that you want to make, and not apologizing for it, and just part the seas, even if it's 15 minutes a day. Just do it and keep at it. Some days will be all day, every single minute of your life, and then some days it's just stepping into it. So I think that's the big thing, is just keeping at it.
Okay. Alison, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.